Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pivot Room. If this is your first time joining me, I'm Dr. Malika Turner, and I'm here in beautiful Kenya on the continent of Africa, and it has been an amazing experience. I will share that with you at another time, but I'm so excited to just share with you today and what we're going to do in the Pivot Room, what we're going to talk about. If this is your first time, the Pivot Room was created for women who know they're called to more, even if life has forced them, you, me, to take a completely different path than the one we planned. So I want to ask you a question. Have you ever looked at your resume, looked at your accomplishments, looked at everything you've poured your life into, and quietly wondered, does any of this ever, does it matter anymore? Will it ever make a difference? Am I still relevant? Um, and if you've ever had that thought, if you've ever asked those questions, I need you to know something. You're not the only one. I've talked to women who have spent 25, 30 years building careers, and they weren't lazy. They weren't unqualified. They weren't poor performers. Life just changed. Industries changed. Technology is here. It's changing everything. And some were laid off, some retired unexpectedly. And others finally reached a point where they said, listen, I can't keep living someone else's dream. And maybe that's you. And whether you were pushed or whether you jumped, welcome. Welcome to the Pivot Room. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And here's what I want you to understand. The conversation today is really not about AI, right? It's about confidence, because confidence doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes slowly. One rejection, one comment, one comparison, until one day a woman who is 30 years in with a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge starts questioning herself because she's not, well, I don't know. It's almost like she doesn't know how to use one piece of technology or one thing. So I want to just tell you something that honestly, that's not that there's an imbalance there. We're going to disrupt that thinking. And if you know about disrupting, if you haven't heard me talk about being a disruptor, go back to last week's talk. But we're going to disrupt that kind of thinking, because one new skill should never erase decades of your experience, of your wisdom, and of your grit. Okay? Somewhere along the way, many, women out there start believing this thing of like, I'm too old. I find myself saying it every now and then, like, all right, I'm 53, you know what I mean? Around younger people. Or we start thinking, I've missed my opportunity. Technology, that's for the young people. Let the young people do it. But can I tell you what the research is actually showing? Many of the career women over 50 have built are among the least likely to disappear because of AI. And why? Why is that, right? Because experience and judgment and discernment and leadership and all of those things, those are human skills. And AI can't assist with them. AI can't assist with human skills, and you've got the human skills. So these are things that AI can't replace. That's why I don't see AI as your competition. It does not compete with me. And a lot of women are struggling with that. I see it as an assistant, right? And so I want to explain AI a little differently today in the Pivot Room. And here's what I want you to do. We all have girlfriends, at least one, but maybe you have two. I've got a few. So we all have girlfriends. I want to frame it differently. So think about this. I want you to think of AI as three friends, not employees, not robots, friends. Each one helps you differently, right? One friend helps you get started. One friend helps you think a little deeper. And then there's that one friend that helps you organize your life. And that's it. You don't have to master all three. You don't have to, you can, call on one friend for this thing, call on another friend for that. You just need to call them. So let's think about this. Let's break this down a little bit. Let's think about our friends, if you will. So, ChatGPT, right? We've talked about it before, but I want to frame it differently. This is your brainstorming friend. This is your, hey girl, I got an idea. And so, or you start thinking, you know, um, every blank stare, you're staring at the wall, you're like, I can't think, I don't know, I've been staring at this wall for like 25 minutes, or I've been whirling this idea around in my mind. Chat GPT is the one that's going to remove the blank page. It's going to remove this, you sitting for so long. And one of my favorite things about chat gpt is the voice mode. So you jump in voice mode and you don't even have to type, you just talk. You just tell it what you're thinking. Here's what I'm thinking, and you have a conversation back and forth. And you can even decide which voice you like, right? You want to tell it your story. Uh, you want it to ask you questions. Um, if you've been avoiding LinkedIn because you can't figure out who you are, what's my identity? ChatGPT can sit and talk with you and have this conversation in voice mode and help you to kind of craft your story in such a way that makes sense to you, but also for LinkedIn. So you want to tell your story? Then let ChatGPT help you. That's your friend who's going to help you to break down some of your thoughts, right? Um, and the thing is, you're not asking ChatGPT to write your story, right? Nobody can tell your story like you, but it can help you find the words for your story. And that's your friend number one. Okay, it makes sense. Then there's friend number two, and that's Claude. Okay, now Claude is different. Claude keeps it real. Claude is, not sugarcoating a lot of things. This is a friend that sits beside you and says, let's think this through. Okay, what are you doing? All right. And maybe asking, should I start my business? Should I stay in corporate? Should I pivot? Instead of asking strangers on social media, you might ask your friend Claude. And you'll have this back and forth with Claude. Claude's going to pull some information from like what's trending, what's happening out there, and going to talk with you and give you some ideas to help you. But it's a different vibe, right? It's a different vibe. And so the thing that you need to understand is that ChatGPT doesn't, or Claude doesn't have all the answers. AI doesn't have all the answers. So ChatGPT, Claude, the things we're talking about today don't have all the answers. But what it will do is, as you allow it, it will help you to kind of pull some ideas, help you map out a plan that is already within you. Does that make sense? So you've got it, but sometimes we need help crafting it, framing it, planning it. And so sometimes asking better questions, it really helps us to hear our own answers. And that's what Claude is really good at doing. It asks those questions, right? And then your last friend, friend number three for today, is Notebook LM. Now, this one might become your favorite. I know that it's one of my favorite friends, if you will, especially if you spent years collecting documents, resumes, your performance reviews, training manuals, notes, certificates, and you're kind of sitting with them. Let me just tell you a quick secret. I love to write in journals and have been doing so since I was a little girl. So I have hard journals in like boxes at my house. And I mean, when I think about it, I've got over 40 years of journals, 30 years of journals, um, with day to day feelings and thoughts, and have been thinking about what I can do with these journals. And between these three friends, I really can create something that can be motivational and inspiring and just a push for somebody out here who really could use some of my thoughts. And actually, I get to see myself pivot over the years, and I'd love to share that. Now, if I didn't have these three friends, it would take me forever to do that. But because I have my three friends, I can now begin to take those journals and do something neat, something exciting, and really begin to frame them to help others on a larger scale. Does that make sense? And Notebook LM, it doesn't invent information. It works from what you give it. So you upload your documents and then you ask, what themes do you see? Right? What strengths keep showing up? What leadership qualities do I keep demonstrating? And so sometimes we don't even recognize, our own brilliance because we've lived through it for so long. And Notebook LM is that friend that will simply hold up that mirror and help you see, right? So here's what I really just want to leave this with you today, right? Not the I need to learn AI. No. I hope you leave saying I still have something valuable to offer, because that's the real issue. Technology isn't keeping most women stuck. It's really self doubt. It's really fear, comparison, the belief that everyone else is ahead and I'm behind. And let me tell you something, honey, you can do this. I want to encourage you. Someone who started yesterday isn't ahead of you because they know one more app than you. You have decades of wisdom. You have knowledge. You are strong. You are resilient. And now you are just simply adding a few friends, a few tools, if you will. And that's called growth. That's called stepping out on faith. That's called stepping out of your comfort zone and believing that you've got this. So here's what I want to do. Your pivot room challenge this week is don't try to learn everything. Okay. I want you to choose like one friend that you just want to become familiar with. And not just the basics, not just, I'm going to jump on ChatGPT and ask it a question, but use, click on that voice, click on I believe it's the microphone, and click on that voice and talk to it. Have a conversation with it. Go back and forth with it with information that's already in you, information that you already know. And take that, have a conversation, go back and forth. What are some things that you've been thinking about doing? And you'd love to talk to someone who's neutral, okay? Who doesn't have, is not invested in your success necessarily, who wants doesn't necessarily even want to see you succeed, but it's just neutral. And you can go back and forth, right? Because you can always take the information that you get from your friend ChatGPT or Claude and go talk to that friend that's invested in you, who knows you, who can give you a hug and say great job. But take some time to just have a conversation that's neutral so that you can bounce some ideas off and get a perspective that maybe you didn't think you could get before, or maybe you haven't gotten. Okay. So I want you to take about 5 minutes this week. That's it. Just about 5 minutes. Open up ChatGPT or Claude or Notebook LM and just simply become curious, right? You don't have to be perfect. Nobody's asking you to perfect it. Just be curious. Because every expert, and we talked about this, was once a beginner. Remember? Right? Your billionaires started somewhere. Your millionaires started somewhere. Your success folks you see, your entertainers started somewhere, right? And so, sis, you got to start somewhere. So become a beginner again. I want you to leave knowing that you're not starting over. You're just starting from experience. You're starting from your wisdom, you're starting from your resilience, you're starting from your lessons that most people haven't even learned yet, right? Some of these young people that we talk about, oh my gosh, these young people are getting it. Yes, but they don't have the resilience. They don't have the know-how. They don't have some of the experiences. They still have yet to experience life. And you've been there. And so you're not starting over. You're just starting smarter. Okay. You are starting from experience. And now you're adding this tool or this friend to everything you already bring to the table. And so you're building that foundation. And so this week, give yourself two things: permission to learn and grace. Can I say that again? Give yourself two things: permission to learn and give yourself grace. Give yourself permission to be a beginner again. Give yourself permission to pivot. Okay? We're going to go this way this time, okay? Because your next chapter doesn't require you to become someone else. It just simply requires you to believe that who you already are is enough to begin. All right. I'm Dr. Malika. Thank you for joining me in the Pivot Room. Thank you for spending this time with me here. Please share this with your good girlfriends who you know are pivoting and could use some information, just a quick nugget that's going to help motivate them and push them forward. Listen, I want you to go be great, and I want you to be nothing less. Okay? Thanks for joining me.